Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Local Pros. This is the second episode in my series leading up to Canadian Nationals, where I'm talking to players from across the country and hopefully even a couple that are joining us from the United States. With me today, I have the tournament director from the 2018, 2019, and 2022 Canadian National Championships, as well as the TD for the first Silver Series event held outside of the United States, Mr. Ben Smith. Ben, how are you, sir?
Any better, there'd be two of me.
So this year you get to come to nationals and be a player. Is that something you're looking forward to as being as a very different experience than what you've had in the past?
I'm actually choosing to be a caddy. Actually, I'm going to caddy for my great friend Duncan Dixon, and I am very much looking forward to it. I don't get to spend nearly as much time just as a pure player or a consumer of our product anymore, and so I do relish the opportunities to just kind of be in disc golf when it's a passive space for me and one that is just pure enjoyment. So yes, I'm very much looking forward to it.
Have you had the chance to see any of these properties beforehand, or will this be your first time getting out to them?
It'll be my first time seeing them in person, although I have scouted some of the maps and been kind of up to date with some of the communications. So, I'm very optimistically looking at it like it's going to be an excellent time for disc golf in Canada.
So now, can you speak a little to as you were the TD for these previous ones and getting the Pro Tour players to come up to Canada? Did you have any challenges in kind of organizing that, or was it uh, kind of straightforward? Just here's another place to get these guys out to.
Oh, it was the easiest thing in the world. No, of course, it was massively challenging. It required, persistence, and it required several flights to the United States and dropping in on many tournaments. And at the time, I mean, there had been some kind of spotlights on Canada. Paige Pierce had obviously come to Kamloops in the past. Simon is Canadian, so there had been some pros, Yuli, a handful of really solid players had played in Canada before. So I'm not going to pretend that I was the first person to ever bring a touring pro to our country. However, selling them on the idea that the Canadian National Championship was worthy of taking time out of their tour schedule and to be a part of something that was really at the time, like, not as well known as it is now. It did take a big leap of faith, but we made a really concerted plan and really kind of took down some what we would call solvable problems. And we looked at a handful of pros that we thought these people philosophically align with what we, I think, as Canadians all stand for and what we want to put out as a product. I did at the time care very deeply, and I still care very deeply about the player experience, both for any courses I may build or events that I might run. And I felt like, and I still feel like, Canadian Nationals has the chance to be the epitome of that. So yeah, we did through a lot of preservation, perseverance. I guess those are the words I'm looking for. Found a way to kind of break into that, and we were very very lucky. And through my run, to have really. There was only two people on my list that have never made it that I would like to, and other than that, I can say we really knocked it out of the park.
And because I was out there, I remember the 2023 Discmania Open, which
Mm-hmm.
was the first Silver Series, which I guess has now kind of become the Q Series
Mm-hmm.
event to be held outside of the U.S. Um, that was seems like it was a completely different undertaking, getting a totally new course into the ground, tournament ready, and camera ready as well. Uh, what was that experience like, and especially as it came on the heels of the cleanup from the hurricane the previous fall?
Well, it wasn't so much that it was a new course. The course had been established. It was more that the hurricane had done significant damage to some of kind of the iconic holes. And then, as you mentioned, getting things camera ready is a lot different than getting them ready to spec. So, there are certain things like, hey, where's that bench sitting versus, hey, how does the cameraman stand? That things that I had not thought about as an undertaking before. So, a 6x12 tee pad, I think the disc golfers would agree, oh, that's an amazing space. But a 6x12 tee pad also has to be accompanied by maybe 8 or 20, as little as 8, as up to 20 feet of flat-ish landing spot behind those places to get angles for the camera. So, kind of at ground zero, time wave zero, down to the rate last minute, we were really scrambling to understand some of these things better. So although the event itself didn't really present any more challenges than any of the nationals that we'd run. And by then we had really amassed a very robust team of people who absolutely knew what they were doing. So I felt like we did those things very, very well. The Pro Tour is riddled with challenges. I think the owners of the Pro Tour, right from the executive all the way down, will admit some of these things, and they are all really being met head on by a very good and deeply caring set of individuals. But they're limited just like the rest of us by money, by time, by space. During that year, 2023, the Silver Series was a part of the Pro Tour. And they were scrambling to figure out some logistics themselves. They'd added some events. There was many issues happening behind the scenes, some that are still simmering today. But there was a lot of logistics that really complicated things. And if I'm being really honest, actually kind of soured my experience on running events. I think I took a year off from kind of the spotlight stuff. And I don't know that I've ever really, fully recovered, although I am starting to gain some momentum now on a couple of really cool projects I have, and I'm starting to lure myself back into some of this stuff. But overall, it was a very positive experience, and I don't want anyone to hear those frustrations as a deterrent. But what I learned from that experience, the nationals and as well as the Pro Tour, is that there is a lot more behind the scenes things that we as disc golfers need to be focusing on. We need to be partnering a lot deeper with tourism departments. We need to be partnering a lot earlier and deeper with government agencies. And we need to allow these agencies to do some of those biddings and then have us as the house that kind of structures these events. Because I believe there are very many talented people in the game of disc golf, and I believe we work just as hard as any other domain. We're just struggling right now to kind of hit the same stride as some of these more mature sports who have structure behind them. And I think that would take a lot of pressure off some of the TDs if their finances were a little more secure. And these things, we are learning. We're a young game. We're going to have mentors. I'm happy to spend my time mentoring new people to come into this space. And I did have some mentors behind me, but I think there's always more that we could have learned. And there's no need to make the same mistakes that someone before you has made. Let's make new mistakes, because there's plenty of opportunity out there.
For sure. I think Daryl has done a very good job of positioning the event and timing the event so that there's a natural kind of flow of the Pro Tour between, I guess it's the Great Lakes Open, and then moving to Vermont for Green Mountain States, which or the Green Mountain Championship, sorry, which I know was somewhat more of a challenge when it came to the Discmania Open because they were coming from Vermont, going, and their next stop would have been Maple Hill, which I know some of the pros that were there were kind of like, well, your decision is to go 10 hours one way or 12 hours the other way. But I think the more that we can get this stuff into the calendar of the Pro Tour and make it a destination stop and something special, not just, oh, it's just another stop, another chance to get a little bit of money for the pros, whereas make it an experience like they're doing over in Europe. I think that may be the way it grows more.
There's a lot of truth to that. That has to do with a lot more than just one individual person. So, Daryl is subjective to the same things that I was, and I am subjective to the same thing that others are. Those calendars come out early. There are lots of people that are trying to fight for those spaces, rightfully so. A lot of people with very good product. And, as a collective game, we are going to have to agree what is important to us. And
Mhm.
so slowly we will get to a point, I think, where a certain echelon of events are earmarked and we look at the logistics of those things, and then, you kind of fall into place. So I think a lot of people are hoping for that. And we're just, I don't want to say follow the money, but there is some level of where the investment are, the game is going to have to go. Players are going to have to make a living doing this.
Mhm.
And, you saw some pretty significant names kind of drop off on tour. People that have been there for a long time and had a struggle to make it. And the logistics are part of that. So, yeah,
Mhm.
I mean, we knew when we got the date that it was really tough. We had picked some, options, and, but yeah, I've seen those calendars from an early onset, and I understand how many tough decisions that the people who do the scheduling have to make. And so, in the end, every year there's going to be some disappointment, and there's going to be some successes.
So outside of the disc golf that is happening at Canadian Nationals, is there any of the kind of side events that have been promoted so far that you're looking forward to?
Honestly, I will, I've been perusing the schedule and just kind of like taking it all in, but I'm just going to post myself up when I get there and go with the as the wind blows, and I've had a really nice time in all the years that I've done other nationals, Sheethers in BC, or Dave's in Toronto Island, of just kind of like getting the lay of the land and just, trying to take in as much as I can. Sometimes these events are just fun for me because I'll find a crew of people that I haven't seen in years, and, maybe we're just sharing a meal together and, taking it in. From a TD standpoint, understand how the bevy of offerings will make a huge difference to people. Many people really come, they want to play as much disc golf as they can. And probably, Ben, from 10 years ago, I would have played every single thing that had to do with a disc and a basket in my time there. But now I'm kind of really, as much as anything, going for the social atmosphere of it, and going to just kind of, see the state of the game in Canada. And it's always kind of good to check in with the people who are doing really great things. And I'm really excited to hear a lot of Canadian stories. I'm building some pretty cool projects. I know there's some really cool projects that are happening out there, and this is a wonderful time to, not even network, to just reconnect with some really great voices in Canada. And we're a big country, but we're also a very small country when it comes to some of this stuff. So it's really good to take vested interest in what's happening.
Yeah, I want to do more traveling, especially out east, because yeah, I went out to PEI. I played uh, Rose Valley, Hillcrest, and Huckett
Yep.
when I was out there.
Yeah.
But
The
I
west
know,
part.
like you, pardon,
The west side. Yep. That's
the
right.
west side, exactly. But I know you've built a number of courses out there, and just going on the designs I've seen of yours, like I like the style that you build.
Thank you very much.
And I'm excited to get out there and try more. Although that may that may be a while in coming, just based on my schedule here. So I'm going to enjoy as much of the Ontario disc golf scene as I can, but definitely look forward to getting out there.
Yeah. That's,
Thank you very much for. Oh
yeah.
no,
I was just going to say, I think it's really lovely to take a little small check in, though, and realize how lucky we are in Canada. I started like 23 years ago, and the amount of courses and the amount of places, you don't have to travel as far, and you all have really great access. So, thank a builder, thank a club, thank a Canadian who's like put in some work, and we're all better for it now.
yeah, I'm going to keep pushing chain link to get something in Markham because I'm kind of in
Fair
a
enough.
disc golf dead zone at the moment.
Fair
It's
enough.
like
Then they're
45
still
minutes
out
to
there.
anything.
Ooh, yeah.
But thank you very much for your time, Ben. It's
You're
greatly
welcome.
appreciated,
Yeah.
and
Thank.
look forward to catching up with you when you're here in September.
I look forward to being there. Cheerio.
Cheerio.